Next up, the folks at Teradek. I've known them for 10 years. Tyler Riddle, product manager for live streaming at Teradek. Welcome. And Tyler brings us Gary Cruz from Amaze Studios, going to show off some cool use cases that Teradek's been up to. Hey, Tyler, how's it going?
Hello, hello. Good to see you.
You too. Go for it.
So today I wanted to introduce, this is kind of before you're switching and before you're encoding. We've got some products that help live production kind of manifest no wires. So we have a new product that just released this last year called the Spark, and it's based off of our award-winning Bolt 4K technology. This means zero delay, better performance, and it just looks great, especially when you're even using legacy applications that aren't using 4K. So we built this product, and I'm gonna take this camera. Here it is. This is the Spark 4K. We built this product for small to medium live productions. And so it's kind of cool because this thing could sit on top of your camera, transmit, and then we have a receiver here as well that can transmit HDMI. And all of this is zero delay. Some use cases that we have for this are like portable camera rigs, remote sources to projectors and TVs, video switchers, or maybe AV scalers or something like that. So this is a great tool that you can have on your box to solve use cases in live production situations. One thing I wanted to note here is I actually believe in my product, and so I'm actually using it to transmit my video right now. So as you can see, there's my setup. I'm using a switcher there, and there's my camera. So just wanted to show off that the technology actually does work. Works great, zero delay, virtually lossless. But it's one thing for me to say something, but I wanted to introduce Gary Cruz. He has been using the Spark on his own accord for a while now. And Gary, you're with Amaze Studios. Tell us about your company and what you do.
Yeah, sure. Got me in mid cough there. Sorry about that. So hi everybody. My name is Gary Cruz with AmazeStudios.com. And I focus on live production for smaller events for like schools, theater productions, school sports, and stuff like that. So I'm not like a Hollywood studio type of guy, but I aspire to be. So the stuff that I do is I have it on my website. I'll share a link after in a bit. But I've been using the Spark. Actually, before using the Spark, I was using the Bolt. So if you see on my screen right now, this is at a church, at a funeral, and you can see that I'm using the Bolt to transmit to where I am here at this location. So it's not that far. The Bolt that I have is a 1500, so that's like 3 football fields. So it's way more overkill than I need, and it's pretty pricey, I have to admit. But I wanted the reliability of wireless and also to have low latency. And with that, I got that from the Bolt. But as soon as I saw that you guys released the Spark, I jumped right on it because one of the use cases that I have, and I don't advertise this on my site, but since a lot of the people in the San Francisco Bay Area that I work with know that I do live streaming, is that I've done funeral events. So here's an example where I've used a multicam setup with the Teradek Spark 4K. And one of the biggest benefits here is that it, compared to the Bolt, is that it has its own battery. With the Bolt, I have to use a V-mount, and there's some additional setup. And I found that the Spark 4K has been really helpful in situations where I have to kind of use a quick setup and breakdown, because I may be in one location and I have to break down within 10 minutes and go to another location. So I've been using it on my own, as you said. I started off with the Teradek Bolt 4K 1500. Now I've got two of these. Oh, another cool thing about these is that if you have two, you can take one transmitter and send it to two receivers. So let's say if I'm not using it for camera, maybe I want to send it to two monitors at a venue, I could do that too. So it's really flexible. And since the transmitter has a built-in battery, which lasts about 90 minutes, that's been really helpful to reduce the amount of things I have to connect to power these things.
Sorry, let me unmute myself here. So given that you've had a lot of zero delay experience, what are some of the top features you like about Spark?
Yeah, so one of the key things that I like is, so here's another example at the funeral. Is number one, it's got to be zero latency. So I've got it hooked up to a switcher, so I'm switching between, I've used it with multiple switchers, things from rack mounted to things portable like this, where I need zero delay, because it's going to be pretty obvious if I'm switching between, you know, a live local HDMI to something that's wireless. I need to have that lip sync there. So in this example, you can see that this is the same church that I was at, and I'm transmitting wireless audio over like a Sony wireless lav hooked up to an XLR, and then here you can see that this setup is way smaller than the first setup that I had. So this one has the Teradek Spark. The other setup that I used before was the Bolt, so it's also lighter, and the setup is much quicker. So this is kind of like a remote PTZ setup before I actually got my own PTZ. But this is actually a nice way to have a small form factor wireless setup. If I had a person that, let's say here's another example. Let's switch to this screen here. At this fundraiser, let's see if this plays. Here we go. So, you know, usually I'm on one-man band show. You know, that's my type of usage. But for this fundraiser, this wasn't live streaming, but it was broadcasting to local monitors. Again, the second thing besides portability is the low latency. So you can see he is holding a rigged setup here. And since this event was 3 hours long, I appreciate the 90 minutes and such a small battery, but I've supplemented with a V-mount battery that has USB-C, and since there's USB-C input as a power for the Teradek Spark, I was able to go 3 hours straight with that. And then that was broadcasting to all the monitors. You can see I have this hooked up to my switcher here as the receiver, and it covered, so if we watch this, let this play out. So we've got this whole, like, I don't know, it's like a ranch, right? And this is where horses kind of walk around. And they had this fundraiser to help people do therapy on horseback riding, the equestrian, right? So this setup, he said it was really light. I have some behind the scenes on my Instagram if you want to watch this later on. But you can see that this is being transmitted live to these cameras and also to a large screen in the background. So as the auctioneer is talking about, hey, who's going to bid on this, he'll point at a table. So look at him out in the background. There was 0 drops. And that's the other thing, is the reliability. So he walked all the way even outside the arena with 500 feet. So folks who aren't in the United States, I'm going to, again, use a U.S. example. 500 feet is bigger than a U.S. football field. So this was much smaller than a football field, and so I was really confident that I was going to have really strong connection. So yeah, I was really stoked with it. This mixed in with my local HDMI sources as well. Also with the audio coming in from the audio engineer. I had a PTZ camera that I was using here. So I'm mixing multiple sources along with the wireless source from the Teradek Spark. and no one can tell the difference. I also done my own latency tests. So if we take a look at, where is my example here?
Yeah, tell us about those. I saw that YouTube video, and it's pretty cool how you compared.
Yeah, so
bunch of
I've done some testing with this. So basically, what I've done is I split the HDMI from the same camera, one going to the Teradek Spark, one going directly to the switcher. So what you see sometimes with latency tests, if they're using multiple monitors, everything in the signal chain has some sort of latency. So if I'm splitting the sources and putting into a multi-view, you're removing a lot of the factors of latency from different monitors, LCD technology. So with that, I did not see a difference. If anything, it was maybe 2 frames, but the human eye only notices latency over like 35 milliseconds. So this is well below that. So when it's zero delay, it literally is zero delay. And so you can see here, I've got, I'm testing it on this switcher rack, and I've got 2 set up so that I can receive 2 wireless cameras. And the biggest, the other benefit, you asked about benefits, is that I did this for a play. Which one is that? Oh, well, let me start with the sports here. So in this switcher, there's some sports, I'm putting some live scores on this. And I mentioned, you can see HDMI and HDMI 2. The jittering there is it's built into that switcher. But you can see the guy, my friend over there, we're volunteering, and so we've got the comms, and on top is the Teradek Spark, and we've got to get in and out within 5 minutes because we got games back to back, right? And so I don't have time to string a cable. Let's see, something like this, right? Everyone's familiar with your 150, 250. And it's heavy, and then you got to coil this up. I don't have time for that, right? So the wireless capability, the ease of setup, oh man, it just blows me. I've been thrilled with it, and I'm not paid to do any of this stuff. I bought all this gear on my own, and Teradek just reached out to me, and I was so happy to kind of express how I've been really happy with this product, because I've been using the really expensive. These aren't cheap. These Teradek bolts, if you look them up on online, they're not cheap. But then I've got this. Literally, I can't tell the difference. I mean, I haven't done a range test, but in my use cases, the performance have been the same. The only difference is that on the professional, if you need SDI, you want to go with the bolt, and you got pass-throughs like that. And this one just has an HDMI in, right? You can see the Type-C for that, and it's powered on right now. So there's also an app. So if I switch over this, if I take a look at the status configuration, if I never had in the bolt. Frankly, I had to kind of, sometimes in the city, in San Francisco, like in a building, there's Wi-Fi and everything all over the place. And on here, it's been automatic. I haven't done any configuration. It's literally stress-free for me to use the Teradek Spark. And that's been my experience so far.
It's fantastic. Thank you, Gary. So I see a couple questions here I wanted to address. So first of all, frequency range of the unit itself. It's in the 5 gigahertz frequency. And what it does is it automatically selects the best frequency for your location. So there's not a whole lot of configuration you could do, but it does use unlicensed band frequencies to transmit 40 megahertz of video. The cost on the unit for a pair, so a transmitter and a receiver, is $14.99, which is the lowest we've ever had zero delay products. So 1,499 USD. In terms of Gary, yes, he is amazing. He's out of San Francisco. And
I have another example.
Yeah, man, go for it.
Okay, so all right, so here, this is at a theater play, and there was 2 Teradek products I used here. So this is an old playhouse in San Anselmo up in North Bay above the Bay Bridge in California. And so see the guy in the far, he's waving his hand. I had a Teradek Spark on that camera, and then I had a Teradek Spark on the other guy who's waving. And so this reduced, again, the need to haul two of these, so I was able to connect those and have that last the entire 2 hour play. But the other thing, I know we're not talking about the other Teradek products, but I also use your encoder. So I was using ShareLink to bond, my phone, my MiFi, and I was able to stream that as well. So, thank you Teradek for that, because it's been really helpful. So again, the key thing here is the latency. If I'm mixing multiple sources, like the PTZ, since NDI has a little bit more latency, because the PTZ camera that I have has NDI built in, but I had to use SDI because it wasn't matching up with the zero latency of the Teradek Spark. I was just blown away. And then, so here's another cool thing too. So just some tips for you live streamers out there. Here's the rig that I've got set up. You can see that there's the iPad, and I'm using another product to send my multi-view over here to the iPad. And so it's really key for them to kind of see what's going on. I'm recording locally on an Atomos Ninja, using Lank to have smooth pan and zooms. I mean, this is all really key to have a high-end production. Even though I'm on a lower end, I'm not Hollywood, but I want to provide Hollywood type of, there's a Spark on top of that. So I want to provide that type of quality to my customers. And the number one thing that I love hearing from my customers is that they're like thrilled. They're like, oh my gosh, because the type of customers that I'm dealing with are used to just plopping up an iPhone, right, and putting it somewhere. There's the PTZ camera that I'm matching this with. So you'll notice that I have like a Ninja on each one. I fully believe on having full backups, so I'm recording on each of these cameras just in case. You never know. And on the far end, we've got the third camera operator. We even got tally lights on the thing, right? And also safety is a concern, so you got to make sure that nothing is blocking the steps for fire reasons. So he's kind of like leaned over there. And if you take a look here, and I pause it for a second, it's hard to see, but I've got the Teradek Spark on the on top of on this rig, and it's all powered by this battery. So this is like a 90 watt-hour battery. It's really small, and it lasted the whole time with plenty to spare. So, and when you hear about the battery range when it comes to like electric cars, I tested these behind the scenes, and it'll go like 4 hours. So I'm glad that there's a built-in battery for my like sports gigs, right? Because I don't have to bring the extra battery. But when I have to mix in, like I'm pointing at the wireless microphone, zero latency is key. The setup is key, and it's got to be frustration free. If I'm having to look and manually look for frequencies, I don't have time for that, right? And time's always money.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple more questions I saw coming through. Does any rental house carry Sparks? I'm not actually sure on that. I would have to check with sales because I don't actually know where they always get sold to. So in terms of zero delay, what is the difference between zero delay and maybe an encoded type thing? So zero delay, it's not encoding, but our transport that we do is proprietary to Teradek. And it was built upon some long-standing technology that we have. It's not H.264 or anything like that. It uses a proprietary transmission system that allows us to get nearly imperceptible delay from point to point. And so that is very different from an encoded system, because there are some products out there that are encoded. Like we'll use H.264 or H.265, and then you start getting into the 100 of milliseconds types of delay. So this is a very different product from that. The range on it is 500 feet, as Gary said, and we do have products as well that reach the pro markets that can go up to 5,000 and 10,000 feet. But this is a fantastic add-on for your small to medium-sized business or something like that needs to get in a camera. Let's see. Do I get a deal if I order today? This looks awesome. I'll tell you what. Email me today at tyler.riddle@cs.inc, and I will get you a deal. I'm probably not allowed to do this, but I'm going to make it happen. So we'll get you some sort of discount. If you email me today, and say you heard this of the Streaming Media Conference and you were attending, I will get you a deal today. Okay, so Anthony asks, and how are we doing on time?
We're good.
Corey?
We're good on time.
Okay, fantastic. So are they directional? No, they're not. They are omnidirectional to a certain point. So you got to understand, these do go on the 5 gigahertz frequency. So if you are going through a wall, it depends on the makeup of that wall and that sort of thing. So there are use cases where you're in the same room, everything works great, but you go through a wall that has a bunch of metal in it, and that's just RF for you.
I've had, so here's from my personal experience, right? When I was using it in the, let's say in the church, for example, I know I'm using this Bolt phone, but you see in the very back end there's a doorway. Once I went past the doorway and to outside the church, this church is like stucco. It was dropping. I mean, that's just the nature of radio frequency, as Tyler was saying. But in any open area like this, I was at a graduation. I don't know if I have the graduation here, but you know, a graduation at a school, you've got thousands of people, hundreds of people with their cell phones, and they're like, you know, a bunch of interference. I had zero problems with but it's an open area. But even with that, I haven't had problems with it. So, but with walls, you're gonna have some issues. But you know, in open areas like this, where that's the use case, I've had zero problems. You know, from the play to like a church to even inside the sports arena, with multiple people, zero issues. But once you put a wall in the way, it's just physics.
Yeah, so we do actually have some higher transmitting units in our Bolt line and our Ranger line that can help you overcome some of those things. So they go up to, they put a little more beef into the signal. But of course,
you have multiple
extra cost.
Yeah, you have multiple. I don't have the antennas on here, but this will
Yeah.
have like 5 antennas. But when you're talking about extra costs, you're talking about almost 4 to 5 times the cost. So keep that in mind.
If this is your livelihood, you need maximum reliability. So
absolutely.
we start the Spark as an entry point for those small and medium productions, and then for those who want to get into the pro level stuff. For example, our Ranger product, we had some fantastic results a couple weekends ago at this desert racing thing. They were shooting from a helicopter down. And it was really neat to see how far you can push this technology on our higher end products. So let's see. We answered that. How many can operate in one space at one time? And the answer is it depends. So because this is in the 5 gigahertz range, I would say maybe 4 or so. Could probably operate together, but if you have a lot of Wi-Fi in there, it's going to really constrain how many you can have in one place at one time. At that point, I would say, hey, you know, upgrade to the Bolt where you can, or the Ranger where you can specify frequencies and really control your RF environment a little more. And then, do you offer any special pricing for educational institutions, specifically K through 12? Hey, reach out to me. I put my email in the chat. If you reach out to me today, I can get you in touch with the sales guy, and we can help you out with that.
Joel's wondering, Tyler, Joel's wondering if you're giving 2-for-1 pricing. 2 for 1, right?
Well, I still have to eat every day. So. No, you reach out to me today. We will make sure you get a better pricing than you see online.
Awesome. We have a winner of the Teradek Spark 4K wireless video transmitter and receiver set, Monty Dent. Monty Dent is our winner. Monty, thanks for watching, and you'll get an email from Streaming Media to get your Spark 4K wireless video transmitter and receiver set. So
Woohoo!
congratulations to Monty.
Congrats.
Thank you for attending and watching our presentation. Gary, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's my
Gary,
pleasure.
this was great. Thanks for putting your links. Everybody asked about your links to your YouTube. Check out Gary's YouTube page. Thank you to Teradek. Thank you to Tyler and Gary for showing it off. Gary, great presentation. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend, you guys.
Thank you.
Take
You
care.
too.